Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome to another video. Hope you guys are doing well today. So we're just going to dive straight into it. We're talking about the combat changes coming out with the next content update, Lancelot, on Monday. Yeah, we're just going to dive straight into it. First things first, mobs now going to give a small amount of energy on death. It's shared in groups, so you get less amount of energy per mob while in like fame farm stuff like that. But super quality of life change. Really like this change as someone who has fame farmed for a lot of time recently. This is going to make a little bit of a difference and actually could also help out in hardcore expeditions as well. So overall, pretty positive change. Flatten the CC duration and CC resistance curve. This should not affect when fought on equal gear, but normalize CC duration in gear difference. T8 weapon stunning doesn't last forever on a T2 armor target anymore. So pretty much if you're fighting at top end at tier 8 where everyone's running sort of that 1300-1400 iron power, it's not going to make too much of a difference. What this is, the difference is to avoid kind of the difference between like a tier 8 and I mean like it says a tier 8 and on hitting like a T4 and stunning for a long duration. So again, nothing too major changing there. Looking towards Arcane then, we have the Energy Bolt dealing another 11 minimum damage per hit. Now, Energy Bolt actually hits very high base anyway, and the fact that its minimum damage is being increased could mean that we start seeing it a little bit more played, especially with some of the other changes coming as well. Arcane Protection is the shield, I believe, which is the moving to 0 seconds means you can just do it all moving. Quality of life, but also a very nice change. Then we have the Arcane Orb, which is a recent addition to these notes today. Now purges enemies on hit again. That's going to be massive. The cooldown changing to 20 seconds, which I think is necessary. The radius changing to 6 meters. Silence duration 2.13 to 1.08. So it's a very short silence, and it's doubled against mobs. But honestly, with a knockback, you're probably not going to use it against mobs too much. But the purge on this is going to be nice because it's an AoE purge, and you're going to be able to purge front lines quite easily in terms of like 5v5s. Things like a Galatine, things like a sword. This is going to be a massive sort of counter to that because they're going to be able to do it every time just religiously, and that is going to make a big difference. In terms of what else you can use it for, there's not really too much else you can purge on like frontline tanks, and this is a skill shot, so it means it is going to be absorbed by the tanks more so than not. Moving down to axes then, Rending Strike. Bleed duration has gone from 4 seconds to 5 seconds. Rending Swing, which is the halberd E, bleed duration to 5 seconds. Radius to 6 meters, which is pretty nice. And Razor Cut, reduce the hit area size. It doesn't say by how much, and I haven't managed to test it too much. But it's a sizable nerf to the weapon, and for something that's kind of used as that pressure weapon to put out onto multiple people, I think it is going to change if that weapon is played in 5v5. It's not seen very much at the moment anyway. The halberd has kind of taken over, and I think this just pushes it out of the meta even more. Talking about bows, I mean, I've talked about bows more in a past video, but the big change recently is this deadly shot change. The cast time is getting changed to 1 second, with the damage nerf to sort of match that. The cast speed increase has gone from 20% to 15%, and the energy cost has gone from 4 to 3. When it was at 1.5 seconds, you basically had to run an omelette just to get it low enough cast time to be viable to cast. Now that it's a second, you're able to kind of rapid fire these. You're able to get druid robes off very easily, and it's a very nice quality of life change. And it's going to put bows in a better spot again, I think. So obviously, I've talked about the rest of the changes for bows in a past video. I think they're going to be in a good spot. I'm looking forward to playing them next patch. Deathward Climax, the Bolt Caster's E, quite an interesting change, and I would love to see these come into meta. They look amazing, but channel duration is now 3.6 seconds. You still have to stand still for 3.5 seconds, which is going to be difficult. The damage interval is now 0.3 seconds, but the total channel damage has gone up by almost 100 base, which is a massive change. It does so much damage now, and I honestly think that you're going to do so much damage, but again, very easy to interrupt. Kind of very high risk reward. If you get it off, it's going to do a lot, but going to be quite easy to interrupt, I think. So have to see where they land in the next meta. Honestly, I can see them being used with the Sunder just to shut people down. You're going to be able to rip through a tank with that, and that could be what it's used for. Devastating Strike, which I believe is, let's have a quick look. Devastating Strike should be the Black Hands. Yeah, it is. So it's the Black Hands is no longer interruptible. Not really a big change. Black Hands just aren't good enough to be meta at the moment. Fire Staff, Firebolt, burn tick from 5 to 4, and it ticks after a second, which I believe was like a similar change made to Grudge, which means you can't just spam it and the dots will keep like applying, which means you're going to do a significant amount less damage with the burn off your Q. Firewall 6 seconds to 5 seconds, small nerf. Firewall's very, very key to Fire Staffs, and again removes a little bit of that utility. Maybe that's where we'll start to see Frost coming in. Like people have said, Frost isn't bad, just Fire is so good in comparison. And Flame Tornado, the damage per tick has been reduced massively. 20 base damage nerf is huge on the Tornado. The damage versus mobs is even worse. Honestly, Flame Tornado just kind of got dicked on in this patch, to be quite honest. Nobody's going to be playing Flame Tornadoes. They're so easy to pick up. In ZVZs, you might take one just to apply the dot to people, but honestly, I can't imagine you bringing multiple anymore. Frostbolt doesn't trigger diminishing returns anymore. We've seen this before. Frost came into meta. We saw it got nerfed because it was too strong. Now it's back. We're expecting to see Frost come back into meta with a fire nerfs. I'm calling it now. We'll see Frost in the meta again. Holy Staffs. Flash Heal has been changed to an energy cost of 4 with energy gain on max stacks at 4. So not really I mean, I would say that's actually worse on Flash Heal. Generous Heal having its base energy upped to 7 doesn't sound like much, but that scales with your gear and your iron power and stuff like that. So that's actually going to be quite a big energy nerf. Desperate Prayer changed to a 30% health thing, which is going to be quite a big thing. Because, I mean, Bloodletters, I know Bloodletter is the whole meme, but actually having that 10% gap where a Bloodletter can execute means that Holy's going to be in a bad spot. And if you can interrupt them, you do have a lot, like, if you can interrupt the Holy getting that Desperate Prayer off, you only have to get through 30% rather than 40% of their health now to burst someone down. So I think Holy has taken quite a lot of nerfs in this patch. Salvation, which is the not the Divine Staff. Let's have a look what it's called. I know which staff I'm on about though. Not that one. That one. Which is the Fallen Staff. Which is just going up to 10 players. A 10-person cleanse and a massive heal. Lovely for ZVCs. Not really good for anything else though. And I think that's what they're pushing it towards. We're putting it to 10. Now Maces. I'm quite interested with Maces because I honestly love the Mace metas. Snare Charge, the jump time is just reduced to 0.55 seconds, which is quite nice. Stand time is actually up to 0.5 seconds, and the radius has been increased to 6 meters. So you're going to be able to get a lot more of them sort of snares off. But this is the big thing: impact radius now also interrupts enemy spellcasts, which means you've kind of got the impact as well as then the raw that will come out of it with the heavy mace. So interested to see if that's enough to bring it back into meta. I think it really could be, and I think this is where we're going to see Maces come back and take over the Staff of Balance sort of role as that sort of backline pressure. But we'll talk about that more in a minute. Brute Force, which is the Bedrock Mace, cooldown is now 10 seconds, and everything got nerfed regarding it. What was happening is that the CC changes up here were scaling way too badly with the Bedrock Mace, so they've just changed it accordingly. I don't think it'll be meta. I don't think it'll be good. Still a meme. Rejuvenation, and this is where it's quite interesting. I think Nature could actually come back in instead of Holy now. Rejuvenation is now a 1.3 second cooldown, which in itself isn't too much of a change, but the energy cost has been changed by 1.5 per tick. Per cast, which is massive. That's a huge change. You get an extra tick as well as some instant healing, and then the stand time has been reduced to 0 seconds, which means you can stay fully mobile. This means nature healers are just going to be so mobile and actually kicking out a lot of healing And with the new omelets as well, having the reduced energy costs, you're going to have so much energy as well that actually I think nature could be coming back in. Circle of Life, which I believe is the one-handed nature staff, the base one, which does AoE healing based on how many rejuice stacks you've got out. Doesn't consume the rejuvenation stacks anymore, which is a quality of life thing. I don't think people are going to pick it up. Druidic is still needed to deal with that burst, I think. Maybe Rampant, just because it's throughput. But other than that, I can't really see any others being used too much in 5v5. Ruthless Nature, which is the Thorn Staff, I can't remember what it's called, the Hell Artifact Nature Staff. Channel is now uninterruptible and reflected damage is now 40%. Honestly, maybe good for ZVZs, not really good for anything else in my opinion. Quarterstaffs, Mystic Rocks. Max duration 20 seconds to 15 seconds and healing reduction from 50% to 40%. So you're not going to be able to reduce as much healing, so you're going to have less pressure overall, and the fact that it's going to last less time. Now, honestly, you should never be able to get a full duration of one of these off anyway, just because you should get pressured so much that you have to turn it off. So it shouldn't make too much of a difference in this regard, but the healing reduction is actually quite big going against Quarterstaffs. Spears, I'm looking forward to seeing Spears next patch. We have Lunging Strike, which is the cast sort of stabby Q. Reduce the cooldown by a second. Hit delay is 0.1 seconds and stand time is 0.2 seconds. So just going to be a lot smoother of an ability with a smaller cooldown. Going to be quite nice. I think it goes really, really well with a one-handed spear next patch. Cripple, hit delay is now 0.1 seconds, stand time 0.2 seconds. Again, just quality of life. Deflecting Spin, the caster can now move during the channel, which means you can go in, go deep, go hard, and when things go bad, you pop Deflecting Spin and run back to your team. I'm not sure if it can be interrupted. If it can't, then that's ridiculously strong. If it can, it may force fires to run like a fire wave just to interrupt it. But we'll have to see how that comes. And Reckless Charge, the spell has been reworked to a forward leap, which knocks enemies up instantly. The cast dashes forward similar to the Bloodletter E, so it's just basically it's the same animation as the Bloodletter E as well, but it just knocks people up along the way rather than going for the execute. It does a decent amount of damage as well. The knock up is only like a second at most, so it's not too big of a thing, but you can get some interrupts and an engage out of it. The Claymore. Spell is reworked, cast time is now 0.5 seconds, uninterruptible, range is 12 meters. The the player is completely invincible to damage and CC for 1 second, which means the charge can go through firewall, wind wall, all sort of disruptions. The remove the root, instead it consumes heroic charges for more damage and has a baseline 0.8 second stun. As well as increasing the damage by a massive amount, you can get some good burst off with this. Honestly, still think it's just going to be a stronger ganking weapon now with these changes rather than a 5v5 meta thing. I don't think it's going to come into that at the moment, but maybe. Solar Stream, the cast time is now 0.9 seconds, which means, as far from what I've been told, you now can't mage boot Solar Stream, which is a massive, massive nerf. I don't like that. I think that was a very skillful thing to do, and actually you can react to it, you can deal with it, but yeah, apparently they disagreed, and now that's quite a big nerf, as well as the arcane nerf as well as the arcane buff, which purges, and the fact that we have down here ambush max damage increase has gone from 50% to 40%, which is obviously a 10% nerf. I think Galatines might be on their way out of the meta at the moment. Taproot, hit points increase factor gone from 20 to 15. We don't know what this looks like in like actual numbers in game, but Taproot getting nerfed is good because every bruiser wants to run it and every caster wants to run it. But it's bad in that people are going to be a lot more bursty and a lot more susceptible to being one-shot now. And let's talk about the armors really quickly. Levitate, which is the Cultist Relic Robe, has gone from 30 seconds to 45 seconds, which honestly was necessary. You could heal like 60% of your health and gain like 60% of your energy in 6 seconds, as well as being immune to all physical damage. Quite a big change. Self-Ignition, which is the Spectre Relic Jacket, now also reduces healing received for the caster. So it's the fire AoE that basically does 50 true damage to yourself every 0.5 seconds, but deals 50 true damage to anybody being hit by the aura. Now you're going to reduce the healing received, which means it's going to make a big old difference to those people thinking of trying to run it like Great Nature and cheesing people. Force Shield, which is the Judicator armor, has had its max affected targets changed to 10, which is going to make a huge difference in ZVZs. It's going to make it mandatory in ZVZs, to be honest. Hasn't made any difference for GVGs. I still think it's going to be super good. Ambush, we talked about it already, gone to a 40% rather than 50% damage increase. Kind of a shame for those like the Phys-X dagger pair setup, as well as like the Claren Blades, the Galatines. Honestly, don't think Ambush was where the issue was, but it is what it is. I don't completely agree with the change. Then we have the health regeneration bonus on the armors, going to make a big old difference to being able to do stuff solo and with the roaming mobs coming in. That's quite a nice change. Shoes, Splash Wave, knockback distance is now normalized and doesn't scale with item power. That was the fishing boots that could knock people miles and miles away. The fish buff, not really looked into him at the moment, but increases crowd control duration, now 10%. Probably going to be a little bit too overpowered, to be fair, if it stayed the way it was. Now let's talk about the Basilmans. 120%, 0.8, 1.4, which I believe is quite low, to be honest. But we'll have to see it when it comes into live game. 120% is still very, very slow. There's only actually 20% move speed increase, which isn't great. The Q, a 10 meter radius ground attack, which instantly increases damage taken by 15% for 10 seconds and deals no damage. You're going to want to spread that to as many people as you can. The E, a cone attack, which instantly deals medium one-time damage and reduces healing received by 35% for 7 seconds. And going straight into the Venom one, a 10 meter radius ground attack, which reduces damage dealt by 25% for 10 seconds and deals no damage. And a cone attack, which instantly deals medium one-time damage and increases damage taken by 50% for 7 seconds. So they've turned it into support mounts rather than being sole like damage dealers, and people are really, really excited about these changes. So I'm excited to see how they fit into the next patch, but I'm looking forward to it. I think they're in a good spot now. And the Ballista, I've already talked about it in my last video, so you should go and watch that if you haven't. And other than that, that's all the combat changes coming to Lancelot on Monday. Pretty hyped. Going to be streaming all day Monday with my bow. So come check that out and catch you later, guys. Goodbye.